Identity and Access Management, Part 9. Let's look at risk scoring. What is risk scoring in identity and access management? Well, risk scoring is the process of assigning a numerical or categorical value to a user's session or identity action based on how risky it appears. This score is then used to determine what level of access, authentication, or restriction should be applied in real time. Think of it as a credit score for every login or for every activity. Higher the risk, stricter would be the controls. So, how risk is scored? Well, IAM or behavior analytics tool calculates the risk score using various signals. It could be location, time, device, behavior, role, or network. What it means is whether the login is from a foreign country or is the login at an unusual time or a new device is used to log in or there is a sudden change in the access pattern or there is a data download, whether the role or the user is a high risk user, could be from admin, finance, or HR, or is it from a public IP or an unknown IP or a known one? These are different factors which would determine the risk, and accordingly, the ratings would be put up. A low risk could be 0 to 50, which allows seamless access to anyone, but provided the conditions are well defined. Now, this is what individual organizations are required to define. So, if it is a scoring example 51 to 80, it's not a low, it's a medium risk. Hence, you would have additional checks and balances. In this case, an MFA can be triggered. If it is a high risk, generally a block it or add additional authentication. Now, do note this definition would be totally defined by the individual organization. Now, what is the risk level? What is considered as risk as low, medium, or high? That would be based on individuals, and you can make it as granular as possible based on the level of controls that you can implement. So, if you have multiple levels of controls, then you have the flexibility to define multiple levels of risk with different values. So that's entirely for the organization to define. But this gives you an idea as to how you can go about managing this. Let's look at adaptive access. So, what's adaptive access? Well, adaptive access means that IAM systems can change the access control behavior dynamically based on the risk scores and context. Well, instead of a one size fit all rules, the system adapts in real time to the risk levels. So, how adaptive access works? Well, the first scenario wherein user logs in from known device at a regular time. Now, what is known and what is regular is entirely for you to define. What is regular? 9 to 5, 9 to 6, or 10 to 5. And known device, these are generally the devices which are be registered and which part of your asset list. So in such cases, you will give the access with SSO. Or if a user is logging from a new laptop from a different country, in that case it might trigger up a certain action which would be maybe adding an MFA to the authentication. Or a user is downloading a large data set rapidly. In such cases, the trigger would generally be block. Having said that, if it is all predefined or a certain user are expected to download it and it's well defined, then in that case it might also be allowed by triggering an MFA challenge. Or if there is a suspicious behavior from a service account, in such cases, definitely it will block, it would alert the SOC and disable the token immediately at that point of time. Now, this is how adaptive access it adapts to the scenario. That's the analogy that has been used here. So now where does this fit in the IAM architecture? Well, adaptive access is commonly implemented by identity providers or privileged access management tools or in a zero trust IAM solution or in user entity behavior analytics or UEBA platforms. These systems analyze the context and makes access decision in real time. So, if you look at the scoring part, low means allowing the access, no friction, SSO should be enough. When it comes to medium, it requires MFA or there is a limit the session duration. If it is high, you block it simply, alert the SOC setup and requires justification. It will require for certain level of approvals. And critical, well, it just disables the account and sessions, it escalates to the security team. Generally, when there is a breach type of a scenario encountered or noticed, or the system thinks that this is a attack. So this is how it adapts, and the access gets revoked or changes the behavior or the reaction. That's adaptive access. Now, what's the benefit of a risk based adaptive access? Well, first of all, it provides granular access, it improves security postures, it's user friendly, and it provides audit and compliance setup. It helps in that, it's ready, and it automates the response. Once you define the adaptive aspect of this, it reacts based on what you have defined. The outcome, you have a controls which are tailored for each session of the users. It stops the threat before they escalate. There are fewer disruptions for low risk users. The risk scoring log supports for any requirement from a forensic investigation perspective. It reduces manual intervention and alert fatigues. In summary, risk scoring and adaptive access makes IAM smarter, dynamic, and context aware. They form the backbone for zero trust by ensuring that no access is blindly trusted and every session is evaluated in real time based on behavior, device, location, and roles. Let's now look at the comparison table of leading adaptive IAM tools. We have, from a tool perspective, we have Microsoft Entra ID, Okta, CyberArk, Ping Identity, IBM Security Verifier, ForgeRock, Cisco Duo, or 70 Identity Cloud. If you look at it from an adaptive access perspective, the Microsoft Entra ID is conditional access, provides identity protection, real-time risk scoring, and sign-in based risk-based MFA. The licensing model is subscription-based, P1, P2 tiers. The risk signal used is location, devices, sign-in frequency, IP reputation, user risk history. That's for Entra ID. When it comes to Okta, the features are they have behavior analysis, they provide that, they have geo and device context, and they have policy based setup authentication. When it comes to CyberArk, it has the just in time privilege access, it has session recording features, it has policy based elevation and risk based approval. When you come to Ping Identity or Ping One Risk, it has a feature for risk based access policies. AI ML behavior driven analytics provides that facility, and it has SSO enforcement features within it. From an IBM security perspective, the features include user behavior analytics, conditional access, MFA trigger based on roles and devices. You have intelligent access policy and identity relationship graph and behavior risk engines when you have implemented ForgeRock identity platform. You get risk based MFA, policy enforcement by location, device, networks, integration with SIM when you use Cisco DO. You have Savant Identity Cloud. If that is what you have implemented, well, it gives you a contextual access control, just in time entitlements, and access governed tied to behaviors. You can pause the screen and have a look into this and see how this plays in your system. And if you are in a process of reviewing which tool to use, this screen can potentially help you take a decision. I hope this comparison helps you in some way in your thought process. AIML based identity risk profiling. What is AIML based identity risk profiling? Well, identity risk profiling means assessing how risky a user's behavior, its access pattern, or identity attributes are using artificial intelligence and machine learning. Instead of relying only on static rules or human decisions, AI/ML learns over time what normal looks like and helps detect when something seems off. Here, the key word is what normal looks like. In order to catch what's abnormal, you should know what is normal. So, AI/ML helps you to understand what is normal for your estate, for your environment. It's like a smart security guard that watches identities and raises alert when someone acts suspiciously, even if they are using a valid credentials. So why use AIML? Well, traditional IAM relies on manual reviews, predefined access rules, and static access policies. However, when thousands of users, devices, and changing behavior patterns, AI/ML can continuously analyze, learn, and respond much faster and more accurately. Now, where does it fit in the IAM architecture? Well, from a role perspective, component is IAM platform. It hosts identities and policies. When it is about analytic engines, well, the role is the AIML model integrates into external, could be SIM, etc. It learns behaviors, it builds profiles, it responds with policy actions. So basically, from a role perspective, the AI/ML helps in identifying the host and compare it with the policies, checks out the deviation. Because of its integration with SIM, it helps to differentiate what is normal and when there is a deviation. It builds a profile, builds a platform which is a baseline, and hence able to take quicker, faster decision when more accurate when you are an AI/ML embedded. When it's manual, all of these are overwhelming when the size of the organization is medium to large. Let's look at some use cases. Well, AI/ML helps in flagging risky behaviors from legitimate users, example, abnormal file downloads or privilege escalations. It learns user login time, location, device, and flags anomalies. So it could be a genuine user, but when that genuine user deviates, even if it is for a genuine reason, but to identify it, having an AI/ML in place helps you. Okay, this guy generally never works on logs in on weekends or Sundays, but he had done it and he had done which is beyond what his normal way of working. It raises flags and it's a concern. hence seamlessly managed when you have AIML in place. It identifies dormant, excessive, or unused access and just reduces review overload. It triggers MFA only when risk is high, not every time. It automatically discovers common access patterns and suggests optimal roles. It helps to find users with access different from their peers or department. Do note, all of these can be done by manually, but that's time consuming, error prone, and generally a very small fraction of it could be identified if there is a deviation. Having an AIML in place helps you navigate these challenges. Let's look at how this profiling works. Well, it starts by data collection, logins, access requests, session details, identity attributes. It collects system behaviors, file downloads, app usage, etc. Or HR data, which could be employment type, manager, location, behavioral baseline creation. AIML observes normal behavior for each identity, builds dynamic user profile, dynamic users profile. So every user might have a different pattern. With AIML in place, it is able to build up a pattern for each, a baseline for each. So if there is a deviation, it can detect the anomalies. It can flag deviations. Then it helps into risk scoring. It assigns scores based on the severity, ties scores to a policy, and takes action either automated or a manual response. It can trigger off MFA challenge, or deny access, or alert your SOC, or access any special request. A certification might be required to get further access. So, this is how profiling with respect to AIML works. So, what are benefits of AIML? Well, it detects threat missed by static rules. It adapts to evolving identity behavior. It alerts only when truly risky. It has dynamic decision making. It helps at every access points. It logs behavior based justification for access decisions. Example, a finance employee logs in from their usual device between 9 to 6 p.m. Suddenly they log in from a new device at midnight, or access a confidential folder they never used before, or download files of financial data. In such cases, the system might assign a high risk score, can send an alert, or block the download or trigger a second authentication factor, just to be sure. The common tools of IAM could be the one which we have discussed earlier, but in a different context. It could be Microsoft Entra, Okta, Splunk, IBM QRadar. These helps in building risk scoring using ML, learns user login patterns and anomalies. The tools integrate with IAM systems, use AI for access review, risk scoring, role modeling, and in cases combines the SIME, UBA, and IAM decisions. You can look at these tools and see which are the ones we already have, which are the ones you might need to enhance or upgrade your posture. In summary, AIML based identity risk profiling adds intelligence to IAM, helping detect subtle threats, optimize access, and respond in real time. It performs a foundational pillar for adaptive IAM, zero trust, and automated compliance. Let's now compare. We have vendors, platforms. The focus area is important. The focus area for enterprise IAM, zero trust, Microsoft ecosystem. Okta, it's about cloud IAM, SSO, MFA with adaptive policy. Sale point is identity governance, compliance, access review. Cyvent is risk-based access governance or cloud apps. IBM security is about security intelligence, identity orchestration. Ping identity is about CIM and enterprise IAM hybrid use cases. ForgeRock is end-to-end identity lifecycle automation. CyberArk is about privileged access management. Various risk signals that are used is location, device fingerprints, user history, sign-in behavior, geo velocity, device trust, login time, IP threats. These are all inputs which these tools or vendor platform use to know if there is any deviation. They look at login anomalies, session behaviors, trends, context, trends in terms of behavior, abnormal access attempts, device metadata, common behavior, session flows, access drift, role anomalies. So these are some of the sensitive parameters which can be easily be identified when you have AI ML in place. Think through if you don't have this, the investment of time, energy, resources that your organization is currently invested in. All of these can be reduced or eliminated depending on the maturity of your AI ML implementation. Can be completely managed out. You might think through the time that you save and the money that you are saving and the efficiency that you bring in. So these are more accurate and more efficient. Hope this helps you with a perspective on how AI ML helps or could help your organization. Identity as a service or IDaaS. So what's IDaaS? Well, it offers it's a cloud-based IAM service offering seamless scalability, API-driven integration, and helps in rapid onboarding for remote workforce. So, what is seamless scalability? Well, seamless scalability refers to the ability of cloud based IAM solutions to automatically and effortlessly expand or contract their capacity and capability without disrupting performance, security, or user experience. Whether your organization grows from 100 users to 100,000 users or integrates one app or 500 apps, the IAM system should be able to keep working with no crashes, no delays, no re architecture. That's seamless scalability. So now why it matters? Well, organization today hires and onboards users rapidly, adapt more cloud, SaaS and hybrid apps, operate across regions and time zones, and have a mix of employees, partners, and customers. Cloud AIM must scale up or down automatically to support more users, more devices, more authentication events, more apps, and more IAPIs. Without seamless scalability, IAM becomes a bottleneck, causing login failures, delays, or even security gaps. Let's look at some of the key capabilities that enable seamless scalability. Well, it helps auto provision resources to handle users or workload spikes. It serves multiple business units or clients in a unified platforms. It easily connects to hundreds of applications and services. There is no manual workload when user base grows. It adapts without needing manual reconfiguration as patterns change. It provides fast, reliable access anywhere in the world. It simplifies access logic across growing organization structure. That's are the capabilities that helps enable the seamless scalability. If you have that in place, think through about the time that you are able to save, the efficiency that you bring onto the table by having this functionality with you, or the feature with you to support your BAU. Well, there are various components, whether it is authentication, user directory, access governance, provisioning, login and auditing, or admin controls. The features from an authentication perspective, SSO, MFA, biometric login with global failure. That's how it can scale seamlessly. Well, it has dynamic directory sync with cloud, HRM, or so on. It has delegated admin and automated access review, and so on. There are many functions, functionalities, and features. Of course, depending on the tools that you are using. So, how does scalability work in real life? Well, example in this case we have taken as a sample is a retail company launches a new e-commerce platform in Asia during holiday season. Cloud IAM can auto scale to support login search, provisions access for new employee or vendor across regions, or extend policy to new apps via connectors, or handles millions of identity events without degrading their performances. Now, all of this can be rolled back once the launch is completed and the surge of new request has been done or dealt with. And this can be clawed back, and a new launch, the new process can start in. Again, auto scaling. Just imagine the effort that you would have taken if this scalability feature was not there with you. The amount of effort, resources that you would have to invest for one launch. Well, this is an example. Think about the holiday season time where various launches by big organizations, the surge of users that would come in, the requests that would come in, the processing time that you'd have to invest. Without scalability and seamless scalability in place, think through the investment that you would have to make. So, this helps in faster onboarding. It helps policy being enforced uniformly on a large scale. It keeps pace with any merger and acquisition or remote working or app expansion. It's cost effective because you can manage it as pay as you go. You can scale up or down based on the needs. You no need There's no need to manually upgrade infrastructure or IAM servers. So from a vendor perspective, we discussed these vendors. From a scalability perspective, they have elastic sign-in services, global reliability zones, it has cloud native IAM with high uptime SLAs. It scales across hybrid, multi-cloud and global users. It has analytics in place. It can horizontally scale with intelligent access services. It can scale governance across apps, cloud IaaS, and identity. Of course, these are vendor specific, but most of these vendors have this in some form. Some are more refined, some are not. You can look at these vendors and their products, check it from a scalability perspective, and see which one fits the bill for your organization. Customize it. Just because your friend or organization which is known to you uses X, it's not recommended to go that way. Bring in this vendor, look at the products, look at the feature functionalities, and check against your requirement. The one which fits the bill gives you all the features that you need and more if there is. You can take a call on which product suits you best, more efficient, cost effective. In summary, Seamless scalability in cloud IAM ensures your identity and access strategy doesn't break as your organization evolves in size, in complexity, geographically, or with respect to the newer security needs. It enables businesses growth without compromising security and removes the traditional friction of managing infrastructure heavy IAM systems. API driven integration. So, what's API driven integration from a cloud perspective? Well, API driven integration in cloud IAM refers to the ability to connect your identity systems with other applications, platforms, and services using the application programming interface or APIs. It's like giving your IAM systems a universal remote. So it can talk to the HR tool, your email services, SaaS platforms, cloud apps, and internal systems automatically and securely using a standard language. So why is it important? Well, modern organization uses dozens or hundreds of cloud applications or multiple on-prem and SaaS tools or third-party services and identity sources. Without APIs, each connection would require custom scripts or manual setup, which is slow, risky, and expensive. APIs allows real-time, secure, scalable communication between IAM and all those systems. Well, IAM enabled for APIs helps to create or update or delete user accounts in targeted systems. It helps to verify user identity during login or via REST. It applies policy dynamically. That's how it helps it. It helps to send identity events to SIEM or compliance tool, or it helps to automatically sync users, groups, and attributes from source systems. The source system could be your HR system. It helps you to grant or revoke fine grained access to resources via APIs. Well, the common API types in cloud are REST APIs or System for Cross Domain Identity Management or SCIM or OAuth 2.0 or Graph APIs or webhooks. The purpose are varied. It could be mostly used for create, read, update, delete operation in IAM. They are open standard for user provisioning and identity lifecycle automation. It helps to secure access to APIs and apps. It helps to read, write user info, groups, calendar, devices, and access rights. It helps you to push notifications to apps when IAM events like access grants happen. Benefits? Well, it helps with real time provisioning, wherein there is no more waiting for overnight sync or user get access instantly. It provides stronger authentication or security, wherein the access flow policies, the token based authentications are possible. It helps reduce manual effort. There is no need for IT to script integration or build connectors. It supports a wider ecosystem. The coverage is wider. It can connect to SaaS, IaaS, PaaS, and hybrid systems. It provides better visibility. Well, identity events and changes can be monitored by SIEM or SOC teams more efficiently. It has modularity and feature readiness, which is where new apps can be added easily without re-architecturing IAM infrastructure. Let's look at architecture view. Well, you have the cloud IAM, which is could be Okta, Entra, ForgeRock. Then you have the API gateway. The target systems could be your HR, CRM, cloud, collaboration, or in-house legacy app. And each connection uses API to manage identity lifecycle or enforce access policy or logs identity event for auditing. Example, when you have an employee onboarding and via API, the HR adds a new employee to the workday or your system, whichever is you're using. The IAM receives the trigger via the SCIM API. Then the IAM creates users in Azure AD example or assigns license via REST API or grant app the access or sends the log to Splunk via webhook. All this happens automatically in seconds using API driven integration. IAM helps in wherein you can use it for from a capability perspective, the API capabilities that are currently there. When it comes to Entra ID, it provides Graph, Microsoft Graph API, SCIM, RESTful webhooks. Similarly, Ping Identity has the facility or feature of adaptive access via API hooks and policies. If it is Savient, it supports cloud and app ecosystems. In summary, API driven integration are the lifeblood of cloud IAM, enabling fast, secure, and flexible identity management across your entire digital ecosystem. They help automate provisioning, enforce dynamic access control, and ensure seamless integration with apps and cloud platform. Let's look at a checklist now. The thought process should be, does your IAM system support REST, SCIM, or OAuth APIs? That is checking your capability. The next thought process is, do target application or platform support API based user and group management? This is checking your target system's capability. Then question should be, are APIs secured with token, encryption and access control policies? This is checking your security and compliance aspect. Then you need to check or ask, can the IAM system create, update, deactivate users via API events? When you are doing this or checking it or asking this question, you are looking at the provisioning and life cycle aspect. Then the thought process should be, are the API logs auditable? Can they be forwarded to SIEM or compliance tools? When you are doing this, you are looking at from a monitoring and auditing perspective. The next question that you should be thinking about or asking is, can the integration scale with growing number of users and app without performance issues? At this point, you are checking the scalability and the maintenance apps aspect of the API integration. The next question that you should be thinking is, are there defined policies and governance workflow mapped to API based actions? When you are at this step, you are actually looking at from a governance and policy mapping perspective. I hope this checklist helps you with a clear thought process and the steps that you can go about asking and checking when you want to go with this API integration. So let's look at the matrix from various tools perspective. From a SCIM perspective, Entra, Okta, SailPoint, Savient, IBM Security, Ping Identity, and ForgeRock supports SCIM. CyberArk is partial. When it comes to REST API, it supports for all, no matter which tool. When it comes to OAuth 2.0, except for SailPoint, which has limited support and general use for integration, rest all are supported. All tools support OAuth. When it comes to OpenID or OIDC, SailPoint and CyberArk have limited support. I hope this table helps you get a better perspective when you are making a call or decision on which tool you are going to onboard it or which tool fits best for you. So while SailPoint has few limitations, the second one which has limitation is CyberArk. Rest all are mostly aligned. I hope this gives you a better decision making capability when you want to compare. Rapid onboarding. So, what's rapid onboarding? Well, rapid onboarding refers to the ability to quickly and securely provide remote workers with the access they need to apps, data, and services from any location without delays or manual errors or security risks. It's about getting remote employees, contractors, or partners up and running fast, safe, and smooth without needing them to be in the office. Traditional IAM systems rely on premise directories, VPNs, and manual provisioning, which are slow and complex for remote users. Cloud IAM, by contrast, offers instant access via the internet, automated account creation, it offers integration with cloud apps, it offers secure authentication. Well, what are the features that enables rapid remote onboarding? Well, it helps automatically create user account in SaaS platforms. It allows users to access all apps from one portal securely. It ensures access is appropriate and aligned with job functions. It helps strengthen security without complexity. It empowers users to reset passwords or request access. It helps trigger onboarding workflow as soon as HR creates the employee record. These are the features that help enable rapid remote onboarding. From a tool perspective, you have the same tools that we discussed earlier. For fast onboarding, from a feature perspective, you have SCIM, Microsoft Graph, SSO, conditional access. Okta provides you lifecycle management, universal directory, fast pass services. SailPoint is more of policy driven provisioning, helps with that and access governance. Savant provides role based onboarding, self service facility, or delegated access. Ping Identity helps with the secure access and identity orchestration. IBM Security Verifies helps with smart identity provisioning and adaptive access. Now, what's the benefit of rapid onboarding? Well, employee and contractor can start working on the day one. The access controls and MFA are in place from start. There is no need for manual account setup or VPN configuration. There is smoother onboarding, improving employee satisfaction. And every action is logged and compliant from day one. Having said that, there are challenges from a role mismatch perspective, or there could be over provisioning or access delays or security gaps. But we can do a mitigation. When it's about role mismatch, you can automate the role mapping using HR attributes as a reference. That should be a base reference, by the way. Or when it is over provisioning, you can use the least privilege access and review policy. The access delay perspective, well, you can ensure IAM tools have real time provisioning APIs. From a security gap challenge perspective, you can enforce MFA, you can enforce geolocation rules, and you can enforce device trust checks. In summary, cloud based IAM enables remote onboarding to be fast, secure, and scalable, ensuring new hire, gig workers, or partners are connected within minutes, not days. It's a critical capability for modern digital workforce that rely on speed, flexibility, and global operations. Let's now look at challenges in modern enterprise. Identity sprawl. About proliferation of identity across on-prem, cloud, SaaS, and mobile platforms create management and governance complexity. So what's this complexity and what's this identity sprawl? Well, identity sprawl refers to the uncontrolled growth of user identity across multiple systems or multiple applications and environments, often without proper governance or visibility. It's when users, whether it's an employee, vendor, partner, end up having too many separate or duplicate or unmanaged identity scattered across on prem or cloud and third party systems. So, how does identity sprawl happen? Well, organization using different IAM tool for each department or cloud provider, which means a user might be created in those different tools, or apps creating their own user directories instead of relying on a centralized IAM, or admins manually creating account in system without integration or any sync up, or new systems getting added without consolidating the identity records, or department using SaaS apps without IT oversight or governance, or old accounts are not removed even after the roles have changed or a user has or moved out or exited. These are some of the ways identity sprawl happens. What are the risks here? Well, orphaned or duplicate account can be exploited by attackers. That's a security gap. IT teams can't monitor who has access to what systems, providing a lack of visibility. It could violate GDPR, DPDP, HIPAA, and SOX requirement for access control, thereby triggering a compliance failure. It's hard to review and certify access if identities are not consolidated. It's inefficient. How do you review it? Duplicate licenses and increased overhead on IAM operation is seen when you have an identity sprawl, thereby increasing the cost. So, how does IAM helps control identity sprawl? Well, with the right implementation of IAM, it helps maintain a single source of truth. It helps automate account creation and updates from a central HR system. It reduces the need for multiple accounts across SaaS platforms. Helps periodically detect and merge duplicates or outdated accounts. It helps ensure identities are created, updated, and deactivated systematically. A good IAM system, if implemented, helps monitor any entitlements, and generates an actionable access review. It limits the sprawl of admin and root credential in critical systems. Example, well, a remote contractor is onboarded in Jira, Zoom, AWS manually. Each tool will hold a separate identity. The HR exists the contractor, but IAM isn't linked. So contractor still has access to Zoom and AWS. This is a potential breach. A contractor rejoins under a new project, thereby gets a duplicate identity, which get created with new entitlements, causing confusion. Now, these examples, how many of these are relevant to you, or are you able to relate with this or similar ones? I'm sure you would have quite a few. That's the case, then you have a scenario of identity sprawl in your organization. So, what's the best practice? What are that you can do to prevent and clean up identity sprawl? First, consolidate your IAM platform. Use fewer and integrate your tools. Integrate HRMs. Let your HR system be the source of identity. Automate your provisioning and reprovisioning. Use SCIM and APIs. Implement federated login. Avoid local accounts in SaaS apps. Run periodic identity reconciliation audits. Define and enforce joiner, mover, leaver workflow, which is a JML workflow. Monitor for orphaned accounts regularly. Limit app admins from manually creating users. Have a policy in place that the local limit, the admins can't create, the app admin can't be created, cannot create any users. Let it be centrally controlled. Tag and retire unused application. That's your app decommissioning process. Strengthen it, otherwise you will be finding it very difficult to manage the sprawl scenario. In summary, identity sprawl is a silent risk that builds up over time, affecting your security, affecting your compliance, and affecting your operational efficiency. Cloud IAM, lifecycle automation, and centralized governance are the key to eliminating identity chaos and bringing control back to your digital identity landscape. Now let's look at from a checklist perspective. So how do you go about cleaning or managing your sprawl scenario? Let's start. First is list all identity sources. Figure out what are your different identity sources, whether it is an AD, Entra ID, HRM, SaaS, etc. Then identify duplicate or orphaned identity across your systems. Consolidate the user account under a central identity store. Implement identity reconciliation. Next is ensure all provisioning is automated via SCIM or APIs. Eliminate manual user creation. Next, ensure deprovisioning is triggered by HRMs or an IAM policy change. Next is to review and disable stale or dormant accounts regularly. Next is implement SSO to reduce multiple identities. And integrate apps into federated login flows. Define joiner, mover, leaver workflow across your systems. Enforce identity naming convention and uniqueness policy. This is what will help you to differentiate. If IDs of a same person are created using different systems, you would be able to identify it. And then that once you identify, then the next step should be easier to consolidate it. You can remove the duplicate. Next is log and monitor all identity related changes and events. Schedule periodic identity audits and entitlement reviews. Credential compromise. Weak password, lack of MFA, and phishing are leading cause of breaches. This comes under credential compromise. Credential compromise occurs when an attacker gains unauthorized access to a user's authentication credentials, such as a username or a password, API keys, access token, or biometric data, and uses them to impersonate the user and access systems or data or resources. In IAM term, it's when trust in a user's identity is broken due to stolen or exposed credentials. Well, why credential compromise matters? Well, IAM systems are designed to verify identities and enforce access policies. So, if a credential are compromised, IAM control can be bypassed, leading to unauthorized access, privilege escalation, audit failures or data breaches, and compliance violation. From a risk perspective, an attacker can access system as a legitimate user. Attacker may move laterally or to gain admin access. The actions appears to originate from a valid user, so it is very difficult, and that's where you can fail an audit. Sensitive data or PII may be exfiltrated, causing data breaches. GDPR, HIPAA, PCIDs requires credential protection, and in a compromise, you are in violation of the compliance requirement. What are the common causes? Well, users are tricked into revealing password via fake login page or emails using phishing attacks. Same password used across multiple systems get leaked and reused, or easy to guess password or default passwords are used, or credentials are stored in plain text or misconfigured systems, or automated tools trying thousands of passwords until one works using the brute force attack, or stealing active access token or session cookies, a form of session hijacking, or employee misusing or leaking the credentials. So these are generally the cause or common causes for compromise in credentials. So how does IAM help detect and prevent credential compromise? Well, add an extra layer beyond the password. It could be OTP, biometric, app approval. That's the MFA. Enforce strong, unique, and rotated passwords through your policies. Reduce the number of credential users managed using SSO and federation. Store secrets securely with tools, which is vaulting your credentials. Enable behavior analytics. Detect login anomalies. Challenge high risk logins with additional verification using your risk based adaptive access. Regularly refresh your secrets, especially for service accounts, using the method of rotation of credential and also at having periodic expiry timelines set in. Enable session management to detect and terminate suspicious session or token abuse. Monitor and review access patterns for early detection. What are the best practices? Well, enforce MFA everywhere, especially for admin access. Implement passwordless authentication where possible. Integrate with your threat intelligence feeds for leaked credential alerts. Use conditional access policies, whether it could be geo or device based restriction. Regularly conduct access reviews and revoke unnecessary permissions. Train users on phishing and social engineering awareness. Use SSO with centralized logging for better visibility. Let's look at a real world scenario or response. A user credential were found in the dark web. So what would be the response? Auto log the account. Force a password reset and re-authentication with MFA. Flag the account for investigation. Run behavioral analysis for unusual activity over the last 30 days. And update monitoring policy if new threat vectors are discovered. In summary, credential compromise is one of the top attack vectors today. IAM plays a critical role in not just authenticating identities but also monitoring, protecting, and adapting based on risk around user credentials. A modern IAM strategy must combine proactive defenses, which include MFA or passwordless, with real time analytics and automated incident response to effectively address credential threats. Let's now go with the checklist. So, how do you detect credential theft and how would your response should be? Do note this is an indicative checklist. You can have a much more refined, defined checklist based on your organization's need, but this could be a reference or a start point. Start by enabling alert on unusual login behavior. Could be various parameters, geo, time, device anomalies, etc. Monitor login failure spikes and brute force attempts. Why something is failing regularly now? Why suddenly? It's a good indicator that something has changed or something is not moving as it should. Subscribe to threat intelligence feeds for leaked credentials. Correlate logs from IAM, VPN, cloud apps, and endpoints. Use behavior analytics to detect account takeovers. Automatically lock accounts flagged for suspicious activities. Trigger forced password reset or MFA re-verification. Notify affected users and relevant security teams. Review access logs for high risk actions by compromised identity. Determine entry points, lateral movements, and data access while you are investigating. As a remediation perspective, revoke all active sessions, tokens for compromised users. Rotate the credentials, secrets, and access keys. Audit entitlements and apply least privilege corrections. As a post review, conduct lesson learned and update your IAM policies and detection rules. With this, we have come to the end of part 9. So, if this has helped you, if you think this has added value to the table, do share it with your colleagues or members whom you think can benefit from this video. Do subscribe, like, and comment if there are any topics that you want me to cover as part of IAM series. I'll see you in part 10. This is your host, Savit Vittal Salian. Namaskar.